Hiya crafty folks, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and I have some mid-month inspiration to share with you. Now I'm going to use my color cubes for some color inspiration here, but here is the mid-month inspiration stencil. It's called Rainbow Roads and it's so cute, and I'm excited to kind of relatively randomly pick one of these cards to decide my color palette. So initially I thought, I know I'm going to pull out a Christmas one. Sure enough, I did. That's not what I wanted. So I grabbed a couple others, actually almost dumped them out all over the place. But I grabbed out a couple. And then the one actually right behind this, I thought, that's really cool. So I'm going to do this. This is a little bit out of my wheelhouse, not usually colors that I grab for, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Now here's a photo of the finished card to show you the direction that we're headed. But to start, I'm using my swatch sheets from Catherine Pooler to figure out which colors are going to be the closest match. So this is one of the easiest ways for me to identify what colors in my collection are going to work with in tandem with these color cubes. So I'm picking out the dark green, the light green, the grays. It's actually like a really sort of light blue. So for the dark green, I'm doing spruce. And then I have grass skirt. Sorry, I'm trying to get that to focus. And then I have, I believe this is tranquil. So that's a very, very light blue. And then I have hoodie for the gray and goldenrod for the yellow. And I felt that they were all a pretty close match. Now I use this deckled edge die to kind of cut the panel down slightly smaller. Sadly, that one is discontinued, but I will link one that's similar on the market. And I'm just going to use my turntable here to hold down the stencil while I do the ink blending. I can't remember if I decided that I was going to come back in. Yeah, I think I decided to come back in with some pixie spray on this one, just because there are some little parts that want to move around, and you'll know I'm a little rough with my ink blending. So I did decide to put some pixie spray on this just to really help hold it in place so I could get that color separation where I wanted it and not have the stencil kind of shift around on me. So I'm going to set this back up, use my brayer to press it down onto the cardstock, and then I'm going to get to work with the different colors. Now I have these little blending brushes. These are from the Rabbit Hole Designs. If they're still available, I will link them in the video description box below with all the other products that I used. But I'm just grabbing the colors that correspond with the color families, and I also have those little tiny blending brushes as well. So I'm kind of thinking working in terms of three. If you're working with multiple colors, what I like to do is kind of maybe do 2 or 3 spots at a time, depending on how big the surface is that I'm working on or the spaces. I like to work in 3 just because it's such a good number for design. It's visually appealing, and you can kind of create like a visual triangle or at least space things out with your different colors just by kind of working in groupings. So you'll kind of base it or lay it out evenly throughout your composition, but still having a nice odd number to start. So I'm working through the colors here. I have that blue. Now I'm working into hoodie. I think there was a little bit of residual blue left over on the blending brush, so that tranquil one, it was a lot more of a dark blue than I realized. And here I'm just kind of coming in with the gray and going over various different spots, not reinventing the wheel here, just simple ink blending. So next, I'm going to come in with the lighter of the 2 greens and then move on to the darker green. And I just have the one green blending brush, so I'm just using that one to start with the lighter green before I move on to the dark, just so I don't need to have a separate brush. It's really quite simple to get into these little spaces when you have a little blending brush like this. This is kind of my middle of the road size blending brush, and then I do have those super teeny tiny ones that I got from Amazon as well, but I can't remember if I actually ended up needing those or using those, but I'll try and remember to link those as well below, so if I forget, let me know in the comments. So now I'm coming in with that super dark spruce green, which I really like, but I want to make sure I balance this color out on the card just because it is so much darker than the other areas. So that's something to consider when you're working with multiple colors like this, not only to kind of balance it out throughout the composition, but also just to make sure it's not kind of sticking out too much in a way you don't want it to. Like in this case, I really like it, but I'm a little nervous that it's going to stand out too much compared to the other colors because they're not as in your face, I guess, not as dramatic. So the way that I kind of compensate for that is I use a darker color on the actual sentiment on the card, and that also helps kind of balance it out by bringing in more of that green. So here I'm going to flip through my sentiment binder. I don't really have a plan in mind in terms of what I want to use, but I did go for ultimately this new die. This is the coordinating die for this stamp set that you see, the Scripty stamp set, but it has these cool standalone dies as well. So here I'm debating on what color I want to use, and I bring in, oh, actually I didn't end up going with the spruce. I went with the lighter and the darker. So I was able to tie in the darker and the lighter green into the composition, and I kind of split it. I realized I missed a spot here. So it's a little bit from when I filmed it to when I do voiceover. So if I can't remember, it's just as exciting for me watching it again because I don't remember what I did. Anyway, I'm going to wipe off my work surface here, and then I'm going to attach with some liquid glue that little white sentiment onto the dark green. And here I want to kind of tie the border in as well of the card base. So I'm working on a 120-pound accent opaque card, and I'm using the goldenrod and then the tranquil around the edges of that to tie in those colors as well. So I'm going to show you here what I've been doing with these little fiddly dies. Y'all know I hate liquid glue oozage. I can't stand when it comes out the side when you put it down, and that's bound to happen with a little tiny delicate die like this. So what I've been doing is just taking this makeup sponge and just kind of pouncing some liquid glue on the back, and then that way I don't get too much. I just fold that little piece over, and then it doesn't stick on anything on my work surface. I can weigh it down with a block, and that's good to go. So that's what I've been doing for little fiddly dies lately, just because I find that the micro dots don't necessarily get on the little tiny surface area, and I don't want the liquid glue oozing out. So that's been a good solution for me. Now here I just actually have my adhesive eraser. I'm trying to get some of the spray off of the panel here. So if you get kind of pixie spray that gets a little chunky over time and you get some residue, just wait until your ink is completely dry, and then you can take your adhesive eraser over that panel and it'll pick up any of that residue. So that's what I was doing there. Now here I have some thin foam strips. This is actually 1 millimeter thick, and so the 1 millimeter for the sentiment and the 1 millimeter on the back of the panel won't make it too thick, but it'll give it that nice dimension. And now I'm going to finish the card with some card bling. This is also from A Colorful Life Designs. You can use my coupon AmyFan10 on anything in the shop other than Master Creator Bundles. Now this stencil is special because it's on sale for the first week, plus you can use my coupon. So if you're interested in this Rainbow Roads, be sure to jump on it in the first week and you'll save even more. And I went with this crystal opaque sunflower. I put that down, 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and that's going to finish the card. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you enjoyed this, please do hit the thumbs up. I'm so glad that this worked out with my color cube. I don't always think to grab for it, but I'm glad that I did. Kind of gets me out of my comfort zone with the colors that I usually choose. So thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.